Hello everyone, Star-Lord is here. Most of you know me as the tarot counselor, theorist, and spiritual philosopher, amongst many other things. Today I'm here to talk to you about a very serious subject. It has been covered by a lot of different people across different social media. However, it's such an important topic that I felt the need to do the video on this. I have told a lot of my clients already about this and they're awaiting this video, so here it is. Today's topic is about the seriousness and potential dangers of dealing with someone with NPD. NPD is narcissistic personality disorder, and why people with NPD are so drawn to empaths. So we're going to talk today on that subject, and we've got to deal with, first of all, we're going to sort this all out. What NPD is and what it isn't. Narcissists, also known as narcs, what they aren't. Let's cover that first, okay? So a lot of people are pretty confused, and because it's such a hot topic and so many people are discussing this very serious matter, people are throwing the word around. Everybody's a narcissist. This person is, that person isn't, because they're basically just scratching the surface on what narcissist is and isn't. So first of all, let me start off with saying that we all, I believe, as humans, possess some traits of narcissism. We can't help it. A lot of people, first of all, were raised by a narcissist or have had narcissists in their environment that were influenced by. So a lot of times we'll pick up the traits and act, because especially as children, we tend to use the tricks of the trade, so to speak, that we see other people do. Children mimic other people, and especially parents and authority figures. So if they're around anyone with NPD, they learn the tricks and they learn the trades very easily, and therefore they can develop some of these traits as they get older and learn these little tricks in order to, say, get out of trouble or things like that. But again, we're going to be discussing the entirety of NPD and the spectrum, okay? And there's people on the lower end of the spectrum, there's people on the higher end of the spectrum. But a lot of people feel that just because somebody takes a lot of selfies, or if they like to fix themselves up before they go out in public and things like that, that they're narcissistic. And this is not the kind of narcissist we're talking about today. So also to the kind of people who seem to be, like talk incessantly about themselves, and they're toppers. They want to say my dog is better than your dog, or my kids are better than your kids, that kind of thing. Again, that's not the type of narcissism we're talking about here. We're talking about the dangerous kind, where this is a growing problem. It's been in our society for a long time. Nobody's really talked about it until recently. The past few years, there's been an explosion, like I said, across different social media about the subject. So it's very important to bring this awareness out, because there's a lot of people caught in really, really nasty traps with people with NPD on the spectrum. Now, especially empaths, because people with serious NPD issues, they do tend to be drawn to empaths. And the reason being is because empaths are very compassionate, caring, understanding, and they have these traits. And so therefore the people with NPD who are like, for a lack of a better word, they just lack empathy, amongst other things. So therefore they kind of move towards people with high empathy, because of the fact that they know that they're easier to manipulate, they're easier to control, and they're more likely to put up with bad behavior. So, in terms of a relationship, for all of you, I have clients out there who have come to me, and it's very clear that they're dealing with relationships that involve someone on the spectrum of NPD. Now, it scares me, quite frankly, because of the fact that I know I have seen firsthand where these types of relationships can go. Make no mistake about it, as an empath myself, I have also been victim of people with NPD high on the spectrum who were right to the point of sociopath, because that's where the high end of the spectrum will often lead to. And this is where it can become downright dangerous. I've seen people lose their homes, lose their money, their life savings, lose their businesses, lose their lives even, and their relationships and everything else. So it can be very, very destructive. That's why it's an important video, I feel, to have made and put out here, as well as all the other people who are working towards NPD awareness. Now, okay, let me start off with sort of giving you some red flags and some traits of the person on the spectrum of NPD, especially high up on the NPD spectrum. In terms of getting into a relationship with someone like this, the red flags are if a person that you're dating or seeing or involved with is doing some pretty sketchy things in terms of your relationship. Not in the beginning. In the beginning, the person with NPD will approach you and treat you like gold. They will give you gifts. There's nothing they won't do for you. They'll do love bombing. They'll be all over you. And remember, the gifts that they're giving is as a bribe, because they're trying to get you hooked, basically hooked to them. And once they feel they have you right where they want you, that's when the abuse can start. So these are the things that you have to look out for. And if you're caught in this trap, and it's very difficult, I understand that, to break free of it. Especially if you're an empath, you're always going to want to understand the person and try to bring it back to the love bombing stage, to where it was so good in the beginning. It was so wonderful in the beginning. I want to bring it back there. It must be my fault, because the narc will make you feel that it is your fault. Make no mistake about it. They're very clever people, and they know exactly. They've been at this a long time. Okay, so they will make you feel like everything that goes wrong in your relationship, or your whatever the relationship, whether it be a friendship, whether it be a romantic relationship, they're going to make it feel like it's your fault. You're the one at fault. You're the one who's destroying everything. You've destroyed all of our happiness. And how they do it is by, first of all, eroding your confidence. A little thing goes wrong, and they make it, at first it'll be subtle that it's your fault. And then it gets a little bit more intense. Now they will go behind your back. They will start trouble. They are the troublemakers out there. They go behind your back. They sneak around. If you're having some problems in the relationship, they'll do things like go to your family members or your friends, or and definitely their own supporters, and they'll start to talk behind your back, but they will be very covert about it. They will say, don't say anything to the person. I'm just concerned about them. They'll take one little tiny thing that you've done, and they'll blow it way out of proportion to the other people behind your back. And the reason they're doing that is because they're trying to shut down your support system, because they know that you have family members, friends, or so forth that care about you. And so they want to try to ruin your reputation behind your back. And once they have proceeded in doing that, when you go to try to get support about your relationship, even if the person is not telling you what they've heard because they're asked to not say anything, you'll notice a subtle difference. And now maybe they'll be saying things like, oh, that person could be right. Maybe you need to look at this and look at that. Further eroding your self-confidence. They'll do things, the person with NPD will also do things like tell you not to hang around with this person or that person because they're no good for you. And meanwhile, that person is a great support. They may say things like, I don't like the way you dress. You need to dress differently. Really, when it comes down to it, does anyone else have the right to tell you how to dress? This is your journey, your own individual journey. A person's dress, jewelry, things like that is an expression of who they are. You have a right to dress the way that you want to dress. You have a right to have the friends that you have, and nobody can tell you that you shouldn't dress this way or have this friend or be close to your brother or your sister or your mother or your father, whatever is the source of support for you. But this is what these people will do, and the reason being is because they're trying to make you solely dependent on them. Now, once they get to do this and you are complying, now they've got you. They've got you completely under their thumb. The minute you try to move or try to do anything, now if you're trying to exert your independence or you've had enough of it or you're getting sick of it and you call them out or you catch them doing something that is sneaky and underhanded, they will gaslight you. Now, gaslighting is when you bring something to somebody's attention and then all of a sudden they blow up at you. You just ask them, did you do this or did you do that? They'll blow up at you, cause a major scene, drama like you wouldn't believe, and you feel like you just, shot them in the foot or something, because that's how their reaction will be. Instead of acting like a normal person and trying to talk it out, work it out, apologize, things like that, they're not interested in that. They're interested in blowing up because the narcissist feels that they're above you. And they have no remorse for the things that they do because they lack empathy. So they really could care less how it affects you. They just want to stop you in your tracks. They don't want you to be having any kind of power, so they will shut you down. They'll start. The gaslighting part is all about when you ask them, say, for example, did you call my boss and tell him this and that about me? Because this is what my boss is saying. No, I did not. And how dare you say something like that to me? And then they will proceed to throw up everything in your face, that everything that you have ever done, every little error in judgment or mistake that you have made, like they're preparing for your parole hearing. Like, this is what they will do. They will turn the tables completely on you, never, ever really addressing the situation. And then it will end up in a big blow up. Sometimes they can become extremely abusive, especially if they're high on the spectrum, close to sociopathic tendencies. They can become threatening. They can threaten your life. They can threaten other people in your atmosphere, your family, your friends, so forth. And then this is where they strike fear into you. And this is why a lot of people don't want to even talk about the subject with their whatever supporters they have left, because now the narcissist has struck fear in your heart and in your mind. And now you feel trapped and you feel like there is no way out. And if you try to leave, they will threaten you. They will do everything in the book to try and shut you down. And this is where it becomes really scary. And that's why it is important for people to bring out this narcissist personality awareness, because of the fact that there are a lot of people out there, a lot of you guys are caught in these kinds of traps. Now, this can happen in any area. It's not just in a relationship situation. People are caught in traps like this with family members and so forth. People at work can make your life very, very difficult if you have to deal with people with NPD. They're really, really sneaky. They also have a tendency to feel that they're entitled to everything. These people feel nothing about stealing. They will rob you blind. They will steal from work. They will steal from anyone because they, at the end of the day, feel that they're entitled to it. Everything to them, they look at themselves as above everyone else. And why should someone else have something? I deserve it because I'm smarter, I'm better, I'm this, I'm that. Their level of looking at themselves is so high up there that it's delusional. However, they don't see it that way, and that's why it's really, really difficult to deal with someone with NPD. And it's very hard as a logical thinking person to try and work it through. Say, for example, therapy. If you go to couples therapy with a narcissist personality disorder person, this person will proceed to make you look bad to the therapist. Again, could go behind your back to the therapist, start telling lies. They like to lie and blow things completely out of proportion. They're basically the shit disturbers of the world, and there's usually a purpose for it. Now, they also have their flying monkeys. Sometimes they will elicit the help or assistance of certain people that they will have as their sort of, one of their minions that will be their best friend or so forth, that they're usually giving gifts to or doing favors for, because that's how they keep them around. Now, narcissist personality disorder people are, at the end of the day, they're pretty much impossible to help. I once watched a couple years ago a 2-hour lecture from a psychiatrist who dealt primarily with people with NPD for 25 years, and found the lecture extremely fascinating. However, what made the most impact on me was the very end. The last thing he said was, don't try to help the person with NPD, because you can't. You can't help them. There's nothing you can do or say that's going to change anything. Even people with NPD who actually seek help or are forced to seek help by a family member or a spouse, even if they're diagnosed, these people don't care. They don't care. Remember, they feel no remorse. They have no genuine empathy. They will appear to sometimes have empathy. They will cry, but it's mostly what we call crocodile tears. There's nothing really behind it. They don't feel compassion for other people. They may say that they do. They may say that they care and that they feel, but you get a sense, I think anybody who's been extremely close to someone on the spectrum of NPD has seen those sides of them and picked up, and especially if you're intuitive, you will notice that there's, even through their tears, there's a lack of true compassion coming through. Remember, these people, you cannot help them. They need a mental health professional. If anything, perhaps they can help them, but you can't help them and you can't change them. And that for me was a big eye-opener. That was what made me realize, boom, I can't help these people. As much as I'm in the profession of helping people, I cannot help people like that on the spectrum, because these people, first of all, don't want to help themselves. They don't see anything wrong with what they're doing. So why would they seek help? And even if you try to help them, they'll just roll their eyes and say, you don't know what you're talking about. Another thing about narcs is they do tend to point the finger at someone else, and they will say that the other person is a narc. When the relationship goes bad, they will point the finger at you. They will project and tell everybody that it's all you. This is why the relationship went wrong. Now, you may try to save it because you really care about the person, and I know that it's very hard, especially if it happens to be a family member or a spouse. You really want to save the relationship and you want to make it go back to the way it was in the beginning. It was so great. But really, at the end of the day, you're hurting yourself, because these people really don't have any loyalty to you. Their only joy that they get in life is seeing somebody go down. Now, there's no point in getting revenge, in my opinion, towards these people, because really, they lead a pretty sad life when you think about it. Because how would you like to go through life never really feeling joy or happiness? I know myself, when someone that I love is about to get an award or is about to graduate or do something really important in their life, it's a milestone, it's a wonderful thing. I love to see these people happy and to see them get their award and to feel that proud feeling for them. And it brings me to the point of tears. Now remember, the narcissist will never feel that. They're never going to feel that towards you or anyone else. As a matter of fact, if you're up for an award or something great is going on in your life, your career is skyrocketing and everything, they're more likely to try and sabotage that. If you're getting ready, say, to go for an award in your honor, they will look to pick a fight with you. They'll look to undermine your confidence and tell you look terrible. Things like that is what they're going to do, to the point where you are now a nervous wreck, and you were already nervous to begin with, and now you're going into for the moment of your life and you're feeling like crap. This is now when the narcissist is happy, because you're feeling like crap. So these are just some things about this personality disorder that I wanted to bring out to you guys, to let you know it's an interesting topic. A lot of people are talking about it. I can't wait to hear the comments in the comment sections about your experiences and what you think of the NPD awareness that's going on out there. Are you an advocate of it? Whatever, everybody's going to have their opinion. So I would like to, in closing now, just sort of give you a little bit of my own experience and how I have dealt with the NPD people in my life. And see, most of the experts out there are saying that basically what you have to do when you're dealing, especially if they're dangerous, is go no contact for life. Basically, you have to cut off all contact, especially if they're dangerous. Definitely, it's a way to go. But let's face it, in our society, narcs are everywhere. They could be your neighbor, they could be in your family, they could be in your workplace. If this is the case, realistically, we can't avoid them, because to avoid them and to live in fear is not the answer. As far as I'm concerned, as a spiritualist, how I found the best way to deal with it is to raise your level of vibration to the point where the narcissist is vibrating on a very low level. So I use spirituality such as yoga, meditation, these kinds of things, a clearing of chakras, all of this stuff that helps me to raise my vibrational level higher. And the higher I go on the vibrational plane, the less the narcissists of the world interact with me, because of the fact that they're on a different spiritual plane than I am. So that's one way I have found to sort of minimize my own personal, experiences with them. Also to becoming aware of it, looking at the red flags, knowing what they are, and sort of dealing with your life in that respect, and looking closely at all of your relationships and see where this could be playing out. And if it's really detrimental to your life and to your health, it's time to make some changes. Okay, so this was the message that I wanted to get out to all of you guys, and I hope you found this video interesting, and it's something that that will help you basically in your life and going forward. And that's about all I have to say for now. Okay, this has been a difficult video for me to make, because it touches on such a serious topic, and I just felt the need to do it and to put it out there for you guys. So I hope it helped you. Star Lord is signing off for now. Bye-bye.